Hey guys, I'm Brent Ehrler with Tackle Warehouse, and I just got done with Lake Oahe. It was an interesting event, all smallmouth, really big place. And what was real strange about this event is that we had no prior knowledge, which I loved about this place. People don't know where everyone caught them. You know, we rotate through so many of the same lakes that you show back up and you know that, you know, the top 5 were here, so-and-so was there, and then, you know, if you happen to catch them, you try to run some of the same water, and it's just a constant rotation of the guys fishing the area because they know that you did well there prior. So I like the fact that this was something new and no one knew anything about it. The fishing was actually kind of difficult because Oahe is so big and so vast that there were a lot of dead areas where, I'm not joking, there was probably not a single bass for miles and miles of certain stretches of this lake. So it made it difficult to find where they were. And not only where they were, but if they were the right quality of fish to do well in the tournament. So what I did is, on the first day of practice, I started down by the dam and I just kept working my way north, and I kept fishing until I found these little areas where I felt like it held a bigger population of fish. I had no idea what caliber of fish I found. I was purely going for numbers and, you know, just what I felt like were just the right stuff to just get points and do well in the tournament. So how I approached it, fast and slow, 2 different ways: swim baits and crankbaits, jerk baits. I did not catch them very well in the jerk bait, so I stuck with the crankbait and the swim bait. And that's how I found the areas where the fish were. And once I found those areas, I was able to slow down and throw a drop shot sometimes. What was really unique about this lake is that the smallmouth were pretty aggressive when you actually found them, and very curious of the boat. And not only the boat, but the hydro wave. I was fishing anywhere from 8 to 12 feet of water, and over the course of the 4 days of the tournament, I probably caught 2 or 3 a day, fishing vertical, meaning that the boat is in 8 feet of water and I watch a fish on my Humminbird unit swim up and stop and swim back down. So these fish in 8 feet of water would swim up and look at my Ultrex and look at that hydro wave that was going to see what it was. So I'd be winding the swim bait or the crankbait and constantly watching my Humminbird to wait for one of those fish to come up. And when I did see one come up, I could burn whatever bait I had in, reach over, grab my drop shot, Yamamoto Shad Shape Worm. I'm using a G.A.S.S size 1 split shot drop shot hook. I could drop on them and I'd catch them on the drop every time. So caught a lot of fish doing that. You know, when you're going to throw a drop shot, use a drop shot rod. The Tattoo Elite series, this is a rod that I designed for drop shot. I use it for so many other applications, but I specifically designed it for finesse fishing and the drop shot. So Daiwa Tattoo Elite drop shot rod that I designed. I was using an Exist reel, 12-pound Sunline braided line, and 8-pound FC Sniper fluorocarbon for my leader. And I was using an Eagle Claw 1/4 ounce weight for that. I didn't need a heavy weight, so I was only dropping in 8 feet of water. So now the fast baits that I was using, I caught a good bulk of the fish on mostly a swim bait. I'd say 50-50 actually between the swim bait and the crankbait. But for swim bait, I was using a Keitech with a 3/8 ounce B.A.S.S ball head, and with this I was running 12-pound FC Sniper fluorocarbon for the line. And I was using my Tattoo Elite 7.3 multi-purpose rod. This rod, you can do absolutely everything with it. I can throw a spinnerbait, I can throw a buzz bait, I can throw a Senko, I can throw a Texas rig. I flip a lot with it. It's a good all-around rod. If you're looking for something to do everything, pick up the Tattoo Elite multi-purpose rod. This is what I designed it for. Now, here's the awesome part. This right here is the brand new Tattoo 100. I have had the privilege of using this reel secretly for about a month now, and it's coming out at ICAST in July. It will be here on Tackle Warehouse very soon. This reel is a Tatula. It's a smaller frame. This is the smallest frame Tatula that we have ever had. Still has a T-wing system, has a little bit different knobs on it, has a 90mm handle if I'm not mistaken. I was supposed to test this, and I was supposed to send this back to Daiwa for them to check the wear and tear on this reel, and I absolutely refused to send it back because I liked it so much. And that is not a joke. This is something that they called and called and called. I wouldn't answer phone calls. Like, oh, I didn't get the message. I refused to send it back because it is so good. I can use the Stees. I can use other Tatulas. I will not. I am only going to use this when they come out because it's so good. So crisp. So such better feel to it when you wind, when you cast. It casts farther than any of the other reels we have. I'm not joking. It casts farther than everything. The crisp feel when you engage the handle is different than anything else. Not only that, it's so smooth. I have such better feel for the baits that are on there, especially a swim bait. There's not much feel to it. There's not much pull. I have a way better feel when I'm winding that thing for these smallmouth. I can feel when one pushes it and comes towards me. I can feel when one just barely nips at it. I have way better feel with just the reel itself. It's hard to say that you can actually get more sensitivity out of a reel, and you can with the Tatula 100. So that's what I use for the swim bait. Now the crankbaits, I was using a Lucky Craft 1.5 DD and a standard 1.5. 1.5 was in BE Gill, and this was in the copper green shad, and these are for 2 depths. I would fish the 1.5 in 7 to 10, and 10 to 13, 14 feet I was using the 1.5 DD. Now, I did not want the baits to hit the bottom, and I was fishing them very, very fast, very aggressive, meaning very quick, lots of stops, and winding it really as fast as I could. The reason for that is I'm trying to get those fish to react. Smallmouth like to look up. That's why I don't want the bait hitting the bottom. I want them to see it above them to come and get it. So change the hooks out to either round bend. I use both, the standard round bend Gamakatsu or the short shank EWG. I went to the short shank EWG because they were bending the hooks too much. Smallmouth are so mean and they get so much leverage that they're bending them, so I went to the short shank EWG. Now, both of these were on the Stees because I did not have any of the Tatula 100s. Stees A, 6.3 gear ratio. 12-pound test on both. I didn't need a real heavy line. I was out in open water, so 12-pound test. Now, the rod is a new product. This is a Tatula Elite Series. This is a rod I designed. It's a 7.2 medium action glass rod. Now, I currently have on the market a 7.4 medium heavy that's for bigger crankbaits and for vibrating jigs. I wanted a rod that was for my 1.5 for things like this, 1.5, smaller crankbaits, anything like that. I wanted a softer rod for throwing those smaller crankbaits. So it's a 7.2 medium action glass rod. Again, this is coming out on ICAST here just very shortly and will be available right here on tacklewarehouse.com in just a few. It's lived up to all my expectations. This is one that I wanted. We did not have it in the mix. I wanted a lighter glass rod for throwing crankbaits, and I could throw any size, smaller size crankbaits with this. So Tatula Elite 7.2 medium action glass rod, signature series that I designed. All this stuff is going to be available very shortly, if it isn't already, right here on tacklewarehouse.com.